Well, hey guys, hey, welcome back to the channel here. Started the video off, actually it was like 2 days ago, and I wasn't able to get too much done on the Sea Ray. Did get the engine compartment cleaned out well enough to work on it, but I didn't get much more done than that because life started happening again. Had to go watch my grandkids for a day and a half, 2 days. So out of the 4 days that I had, well, I'm getting today. Today's Monday, and so I kind of give you an update, kind of where we're at. Working on getting the Gimbal Housing assemblies off, and let me show you some of the stuff that I've done here so far. All right, so the trim pumps, which were bolted here, I've gotten those removed out of the way, getting ready to tackle the gimbal housing assemblies. I get those off the back, and then get the inner transom plates off, so I can do a little bit closer inspection of the transom back here. I'm pretty encouraged right now because the areas that probably should have presented an awful lot of dry rot. This area right down in here, I mean, it's wood. I mean, it's soft. It's a little wet. It's soft, but it's not like dry rot. So mostly just gunk and stuff in there. But I'm really surprised that they didn't seal that up in there better. That goes back together. I'm definitely going to get maybe I'll put some chop strand or something in there. Seal it with some resin, and then a little chop strand to go over the top of it to protect it a little bit better. But man, the guy that maintained this boat was, my mom said, if you can't say something nice about somebody, don't say anything. So I'm really not going to say anything here, but you get my drift. Boy, he certainly wasn't a mechanic, or didn't have any what I would consider to be mechanical skills or expertise. Some of the stuff that I found is just crazy. I'm not going to say I got burned on this project, because I knew I was getting into a lot of work when I bought the boat. But some of the stuff people do, it just makes me crazy. For example, here, look at this. All right, here's the tie rod, the interconnect between the steering mechanism. It goes, it connects the two steering levers, on the drives. And this is what I pulled off of there. Well, first off, there was no bushing in that bolt, so this thing was just floating around in there. Rather than use the right length of bolt, you can see what he did there. Look at this. I mean, he just threw a couple of oversized nuts over the bolt and just kind of clamped it all down. This thing, if it operated at all, must have been horrible in the water. So, and the same thing with I got the exhaust pipes off today. And this bolt down here, here's the bolt that I took off. And you see again, rather than get the right length of bolt, he just kind of threw himself a nut in there to take up space. It's crazy. Well, I guarantee that it's not going back together that way. All right, so here's what I'm getting ready to do. I did do a couple of preliminary measurements with my digital level the other day when I started here, and using my reference plate, or my reference point, which is what I'm considering the zero reference, is the top of the stern. Back here, it's a fairly level spot, so I'm using that for zero reference. I checked the top. There's a flat area on the top of the drives as they're installed, and I was pretty surprised. They were pretty dead on. One was like 0.2 degrees off, the other one was like 0.5 degrees off. So I'm having to kind of assume that that part is level, with the reference point. What I'm getting ready to do though is I'm going to take some, because I'm going to be doing some mods in here, and I'm still thinking about this, but what I'm going to do, you can see there's a lot of build up. Looks like somebody's actually got some kind of like an epoxy coating or something on here, which probably isn't a bad thing. This is pretty bare metal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my my die grinder with a fairly coarse pad, about a medium grip pad on it. I'm going to resurface these down to bare metal, clean them up, and then I'm going to get a straight edge across these here, and then I want to again check this, because these are the rear engine mounts right here. I want to check this against my reference up at the top and ensure that they're level, and then I want to check from here all the way across to make sure that again that it's level, just for reference. And then because we are changing the gimbal housing assemblies, I'm hoping to be able to still use these inner transom plates. If so, then I can mark these here, make some reference point when it goes back together. But I still, excuse me, want to get some height, some measurements here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resurface an area here and mark it off on these steps inside the engine compartment. I'm going to mark where I'm going to make the reference point, so I can come back to the same spot, and then I'm going to take measurements to the top of these all the way across. And then I'll take some dimensional measurements from the side to center hole. Yeah, and again, I'll have probably mark a reference line here so that I can actually measure when I go back in to make sure that they're going back in the same way. So that's kind of where we're at here right now. The engine compartment is, well, it's not clean, but it's clean enough to work in. Still got more investigation and work to do, and measurements and stuff to take on the forward engine mount crossbeam here. And yeah, so that's kind of it. This is what the underside of the engine compartment looks like. This could be done a lot better. I'm gonna get these cables attached to the side of the hull a little bit better, and then just route this stuff a little bit better when we go back in with it. So anyway, so yeah, that's it for right now. Probably have more in just a little bit here, let you guys know how it goes. All right, see you then. Okay, inner transom plates, guys. Okay, I've cleaned them up a little bit with my my die grinder, and they don't look too terribly bad. 3 of them don't look too bad. This one here, you can tell there's been a lot of corrosion in there, but it doesn't look really bad. I mean, there's some pitting. I don't see any indication of cracking or anything yet, but these are coming off. They're going into the bead blaster, and we're going to take them right down to metal, and probably prime them and repaint them before we go back in to be sure. So we'll take a closer look at that once we get them cleaned up through the bead blaster. So anyway, that's it. Measurements to come. Okay, guys. All right. Here's the results of the measurements I've just taken. Okay. Started off. I used a straight edge. Went across the 2 rear engine mounts on the port engine. On the port engine, this side here was low by 1 degree, and on the starboard engine, same angles, well, not same angles, but it was the outboard, or the starboard side over here was also low by 0.5 degrees. So this one's actually pretty straight. Now when I take the straight edge and run it across all 4 of them, you can see that the 2 high points, which are the port side of each mount, are the high points. And the angular difference between those is only 0.5 degrees. However, look at the gaps that I've got here. I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more. I want this better than what it is. Whoever installed this stuff, I think, just kind of cobbed it together. But you can see the gap that I've got underneath there. I haven't actually measured that yet. I will with my dial indicators in just a minute. But I'm guessing that's probably about a 1/2 of an inch there. And looking on this side here, we've probably got 3/16 of an inch, maybe a quarter. Probably closer to a 1/4 inch off right there. Let's take a real quick look here. Let's see if that about 3/8 of an inch actually. This one is off by Yeah, about 3/8 of an inch there. And let's see, I can't. Yeah, this one here is yeah, about 3/16 of an inch. Yeah, about 3/16 of an inch there. And let's see, let me move this out of the way. So yeah, about 3/8 of an inch across the centers. About, yeah, 3/8 of an inch. So big differences there. Boy, I'd really like to see that a lot better than that. So we're going to look at that. Now while I'm here, let's go ahead and take a look at the forward engine mount. Let's see what it's doing. Now I got to remember here now too that I took those measurements. Those measurements were taken forward looking aft, and this one here's about, on average, about 2 degrees. About 2 degrees with the inboard side low, just like on the mount. And then on this one back here, about 1 degree. Is it the same? Let's get out of there. This isn't really super level, but yeah, it's about 1.1 degrees, 1.1 degrees average there across them in the opposite direction with the inboard or the port side of that mount low. So yeah, something's not right, but we'll get it figured out. Take some more measurements here, and so back in a little bit. Okay, guys, live to you again from the engine compartment. Okay, got a little mission creep going on here. I think I'm going to change my plans just a little bit. Well, not really. I was kind of sort of planning on it, but here's what we got. Okay, I showed you guys about all the angular differences that I've found here on these inner transom plates and the rear engine mounts. I went and actually measured the flywheel housings, which actually mount to these mounts here. The flywheel housing bolts to the back of the engine, and then the ears on that mount to these tabs. I went and measured that, and they're both square on both flywheel housings. 9 7/8 inches on each side, so they're even, and I have to assume that they bolt up square to the engine. So this whole mounting system in here is not plumbed; it's not squared up. So what I've decided I'm going to do is well, two things. Here's a fuel tank. Fuel tank's coming out. I was wanting to take it out anyway. The sending unit is all goofed up in it. It needs to be redone. But I'm gonna have this fuel tank modified a little bit. I'm gonna go take it to a welding shop, and I'm gonna have a sump built into it down here, so that it'll be about an inch or so lower and tapered. So any water that happens to collect in the fuel tank would wind up down in that lower part of the tank. So I'm probably going to have a sump built into it with a petcock, so I can drain any water that gets in the fuel, kind of like we do on an aircraft. So I think that's going to happen. But the tank's going to come out, so I can have better access to this forward engine mount here. The wood is actually in pretty good shape, but I don't like the way it's set up. The angular difference between this and the engine mounts, the inner transom plates, is just too far off. So I'm going to take some more measurements off of the engines to see how much room I've got to adjust the forward engine mount, because this one has the 470 style front engine mount, where the foot of it goes bolts to this cross member, and then there's a vertical adjustment on the front of it, so a single point at the top of the engine. So I've got some room to adjust up and down with that. I'm going to take some more measurements off of that. I'm going to get a couple more reference measurements here from about where this is at to these little steps inside the engine compartment. I'll do some measurements there to get my height about right. But I'm going to pull this engine mount out. I'm going to pull this board out. The wood's in good shape, but I'm going to pull it out, start all over here. Get this, get another piece of wood in here, maybe a little thicker, maybe a little heavier, but I'm going to cut this out and then install it or reinstall it, using Jay's technique. Get some peanut butter and make it a structural mount. Seal it up really good. I may still use lag bolts to tap into it. I think that would be the easiest once I get the engines back in the boat. And then wherever they're going to seat, then I'll just tag them down with lag bolts, and pull the bolts out, and then seal the bolts really well. If I go with a little thicker wood, I won't have to drill all the way through like they did with these, because these lag bolts went all the way through. So that's just going to be an area for moisture to get in there. So if I go a little thicker on the engine mount, maybe lower it, a little thicker piece of wood, and then get the lag bolts the right size, I can just drill down to about half or 3/4 of the way through the wood, and then when once I get the holes done, I can go pull the lag bolts back out, get some 5200 or something in there, seal them up, and screw them down, and then make sure I've got a nice seal around here when we go back in. So hopefully that'll prevent any moisture from getting in. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're going to change this forward cross member. Some of this wood doesn't look so great right here. Guess I'm looking at it a little bit closer anyway. You can see that's see that just kind of came out. So yeah, this whole thing is going to come out. We're going to grind this out of here and redo the forward engine mount. So okay, so that's it for right now. Tank's coming out next, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and try to finish today by getting these gimbal housing assemblies off and see if I can get that done before I have to go back to work tomorrow morning. Alright, that's it for now. Alright, more to follow. Thanks guys, we'll see you. Hey guys, okay, here's the last update for this installment this week. I have to head back to work early tomorrow morning. I'll be gone for 7 days, and hopefully with the new pilot coming on, I got a full 7 off next time, and we can continue on with the C-Ray. But here's what we did so far today. Here's what we got done. All right, so the inner transom plates and the gimbal housing assemblies have been removed, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this transom. See some of the wood. The wood is actually in pretty decent shape. I mean, it's wet. It's wet plywood. So what I think I'm going to do. I'll evaluate it more when I get back next week, but we're scheduled to have 7 days of dry weather, so just the dew in the morning, and then the temperatures are supposed to be up into this mid to high 70s or low 80s over the next week. So I'm going to let this wood, now that it's all exposed and opened up, I'm going to let it dry out for a week. Then I'm going to take another look at it when I get back. If it's still a little moist, I may try to seal the back side of it, seal both sides actually, leave a little pocket, and then fill it with a desiccant. Maybe rice. Rice would work. I'll dump 8 pounds of rice into this gap here, and let that draw the moisture out of the wood, and see how that works. So that's one thing I'm thinking. The other thing I'm thinking is I'm just about ready to replace the wood in the transom here. I'm like that close right now. Mostly because the guy that whoever worked on this boat, they installed some stuff. They installed a bait tank over on the other side there. There's just a lot of penetrations all through the transom, and I really don't want to have penetrations in the transom if I can avoid it. The more holes you drill in it, the more chances you're going to have stuff leaking and water getting in and rotting out the transom. So I'm just about ready to cut out the wood, cut out a good chunk of it here, put fresh wood in there, re-drill everything for the new drives, new gimbal housing assemblies, and kind of start from scratch. So I'll think about that this week. Yeah, there's just a couple of things here. You can see where they drilled through the wood, and they kind of missed their mark, kind of elongated. You know, these aren't really good holes. I mean, you know, it just clamps up the transom plate, so I'm sure it's probably not that critical, but yeah, gosh darn it, I think we could do better than that. So I'll think about that this week while I'm at work. One of the things that I did find after I got them off was the exhaust pipes that came off the boat. This is what it looks like. Now I won't be able to use these because the Alpha 1 gimbal housing assemblies have a different. It's got a different configuration there. Uses a 4-bolt, and plus it's just different. So I'm going to take a look online and see if I can find some of the Alpha 1 exhaust pipes to see what they look like. It appears to be all aluminum, so if push comes to shove, I can probably get them welded and modified to fit with these transom plates and the exhaust pipes. You know, the exhaust system. You know, on these Mercuries or engines that I've got. There's one other thing that I found too. Here, hold on. I'll be right back. I want to show you something that I found. There's another modification that I'm going to have to do on the transom plates at least. Hey guys, here's something that I found on the new Alpha 1 gimbal housing assemblies. Okay, the area that the drive shaft penetrates through, the gimbal bearing assembly. On the Alpha 1s, it's 2.45 inches, and on the transom plates for the generation, the MC1 transom plates is like 2.36. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's 2.44, and this side here is what do we got here? 2.36. So it's pretty close, but it's kind of a tight fit. So what I'm going to do is on these areas here, on these transom plates, after I get it bead blasted, I'm going to go and hone this out. I'm going to put a brake hone in here and just relieve these just a little bit so it fits better. So I've got a little clearance in there. Clean up all this corrosion. I'm going to have to do a little bit of machining here because some of the bolts, as you can see right here, some of the bolts just kind of broke off. So I'm going to get that off of here, get this bracket off, my shift bracket. That's all coming off. I'm going to drill that out and remachine that. So that's about it. The rest of the rest of the bolts for the gimbal housing assembly all match up. Everything else matches up fine. So that's encouraging. The other thing is the exhaust. The exhaust configuration is a lot different. So that's going to get changed. So that'll be kind of an interesting mod to figure out how to make that work. So I don't expect it to be too hard, but we're doing something different. We're modifying the boat. So I kind of expected this. So anyway, that's it for now, YouTubers. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys swinging by. Like I said, I'll be thinking about this over the next week or so while I'm on duty. I'm breaking my new pilot in start tomorrow. So once we got him online, then I'll get my 7 days off again. So anyway, Until next time, you guys take care, be safe out there, and we'll talk to you down the road. All right, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you. Okay, guys, so here's the last installment for today. After thinking about it, you know, I mentioned that maybe fill in those areas with a desiccant. But you know, if I wait all week, when I come back, if it's still not dry, then you know I just would have wasted some time. So I went ahead and prepped the area right now, and we're going to go ahead and fill it before I leave for work this week. I'll see what it looks like when I get back. All right, what I did to prepare the area, so I had some visqueen. So I took some visqueen and cut it to the size of the cutouts for the gimbal housing assemblies. Then I took, I'm going to sand all this anyway, I took some spray adhesive and I sprayed the area all the way around, and then I put a light coating on the back side of the visqueen, and then I secured the edges there a little more with some 3M metal tape. So that's pretty tacky right there. That should hold everything in there. And here's what we're going to do on the inside. Let's okay, so I did basically the same thing inside here. Just tacked some visqueen up around the inside, so I've got a barrier on both sides. I left the top flap open so I could pour this in. My wife's probably going to kill me because I bought like 6 bags of rice. It was pretty cheap, but it's still, you know, it's just 6 bags of rice. I was thinking I could probably have done it with maybe kitty litter or something, because that's kind of an absorbent. But I know rice works really well, so we're going to try it with some rice here. So, all right, hold on. Let me see if I can set the camera down and see if I can pour some rice here without knocking everything over. Let's put some time ahead of mine. Oh, I think I put that there. Yeah, we'll see how this works. There's one. I had a knife, but I think I left it on the outside of the boat. That's right, a little brute force works good too. Actually, that's probably about all I really need. The rest of the wood from about here up seems to have been pretty dry. Oh, I'm going to put one more in there. Probably get by with like 2.5 bags. Alright, so now I'm just going to hit some more spray adhesive and seal that up there, and then we'll let that set for the week and we'll see what happens. Alright, well, that's got to be it for right now because I'm running out of sunlight. My wife's inside, she's not feeling very well, so I'm going to be making chicken soup for her tonight. So, alright, that's it for this week. I'll let you know what happens when we get back next Tuesday. So, you all take care and be safe out there. We'll talk to you down the road. See ya.